Hi. Are you a Christian and are you a parent? I think you might want to listen to this. My name is Ronkel Lushoga. I am the founder, by God's grace, of Emmanuela Ministries. Our mission is broadly to promote Christian values and culture. There are three instructions that I believe that the Lord will have me share with Christian parents. These instructions, in and of themselves, are not necessarily spiritual things, but I believe that God is asking us to pay attention to them, so that our actions and some things that we're doing will cooperate with what He's working behind the scenes. In other words, we're praying and there should be results. However, some of these things, if we don't pay attention to them, they may not align with the prayers that we're praying. They may not help us get the kind of results that we're hoping to get. So I'll go straight into the three things. I wrote them down. I'll talk about them, and where I can, I trust Holy Spirit to help me, add a bit more light here and there. The very first one, it says, watch the way you fight or argue with your spouse in the presence of your children. You will see a major difference in the behavior of your child, especially strong-willed children. He's not saying that you won't have arguments with your spouse, but he's saying that in this school year, be mindful of how you talk to or about your spouse when your children are present. It's time to learn how to fight differently, he says. Sometimes children can hear us argue even in the middle of the night. I'm guilty of this. Yeah, so the Lord is talking to me as well, right? But they can get a vibe. And I remember that when I was writing this down, that he was like, even children that are non-verbal, children that we think can't hear us, children that we think are deaf, children that we think are not old enough, babies as well, are not exempt from this. So this applies to all of us, as much as there is a child in your house, including teenagers. Be mindful of how you go about your disagreements and misunderstandings. And I remember hearing further, I wrote it down, that some behavioral challenges, though they exist in the natural wiring of the child, the arguments and strife in the home have badly impacted the extent to which they have blown up. If you want to start seeing changes, you need to address the way you are fighting. The Lord is saying a lot of identity, anxiety, teenage depression, sleep disorders, and so on are linked to this one thing. And again, I wrote, even the children that cannot hear or talk are not excluded. Whether your child is verbal or non-verbal, it's time to take dressing for the sake of your child. Okay, on to number two. Number two is about screen time. Yes, screen time. This school year, we must be intentional about screen time. Many Christian parents are relying too heavily on screens to help their children pass time. This is having gradual neurological impact on the children. This does not necessarily have to do with the content of what they are watching, but the length. Even though I believe that we need to be mindful of what our children watch, listen to, and all of that, but this instruction is not necessary about that. I feel like that's like a different conversation. The point here is the length of time. Two things to note there. Be mindful of the length of time. The Lord is saying that we sometimes rely too heavily on screens to help our children pass time, meaning that instead of them to then develop the capacity for passing time in, let's say, in natural ways, they're relying on screens for that. And he says that it's having gradual neurological impact on the children. This year, you need to bring in structure to their screen time. And the truth is, I personally can testify to the benefits of having some form of structure with how our children pass, how much time our children spend on the screens, at what time of day, and all of that. Number 3, the Lord is saying to us that in this school year, we must create time for true connections in the home. As a parent, you must prioritize connecting with your child. Let me just read it. This school year, create time for connections. This is not the same as family devotion or meal times, but set a time, preferably daily. Yeah, it's hard. Preferably daily, to spend meaningfully with your child. You'll be surprised how much your child will appreciate 15 minutes each day. When you have this connection time, no phones, no phones during this time. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. It's just a time for your child to know that I have mommy's attention right now. I have daddy's attention right now. This cuts across all ages: baby, toddler, infant, school age, teenager, whatever. The Lord is saying we need to start prioritizing that. It's not easy. I can tell you for sure. It's not easy. I try in that regard most times, but it's not all the time. It's not easy to keep up, but this instruction is for me as well. I need to prioritize it and pay attention to it. I hope this blessed you. If this blessed you, can you do me a favor? Can you share it with someone? Yeah, also like and share and follow, subscribe. Yes.